Hi there, I'm Sherry, and this is my BFF Rhonda.
And welcome to Designing Bitches. This podcast is for women
and brave men
who eat, sleep, and breathe interior design and recognize their addiction to HGTV.
Whether you're rearranging your living room for the 12th time or here to justify another home goods spree, you're in the right place.
Let's talk design, disasters, and all the beautiful chaos in between. This week, we're talking about Rock the Block Season 6, Episode number 2.
Ooh, on this episode called Don't Call Us Rookies, the teams take on the rest of the first floor spaces. They work their magic on the entryway, the den, the powder room, and the mudroom. Now, Rhonda, I know you were particularly excited for the entryways to get done, as this completes the public spaces and gives you a real feel for how it all works together.
Yes, I was excited, but I feel like the teams were not. This week, I really felt the energy is lacking. I was doing some research for the pod, and I watched a couple of the previous seasons. I pulled up season 2 with Nate and Jeremiah, David and Tiffany, Alison and Mike, Minka and Brian. I wanted to look at their kitchens and see what they spent on their kitchens, because in my mind, those were sort of the most elaborate ones.
Yeah.
But anyways, as a side note, I have to tell you, the enthusiasm and the fun factor was so much better and more engaging with this other season. It was really noticeable. I'm hoping the producers can create some kind of boost in energy and engagement to make things more fun to watch.
Interesting. You know, they didn't have a stupid design challenge this week.
They did not. Maybe they were listening to us.
I would like to take the credit for that, but what if that has something to do with maybe that creates some energy that we kind of need?
I don't know. Again, it was really noticeable for me. Granted, like, Nate and Jeremiah are hilarious, right? Like, they just have that sarcastic vibe of a married couple, right? And then David Bromstead, there's nobody with more energy, I think, on HGTV. Maybe Ty tops him, but Tiffany and him were kind of going crazy. They were dancing together. They were like, there's just such a different vibe. And I really thought, like, is it these rookies? Are they just not, they're just not the same energy. It's kind of interesting. Anyway.
Maybe they're more feeling like they have to prove themselves, so that they're more serious.
I completely understand how you wouldn't necessarily want to make yourself vulnerable that way. I'm sorry, Hector's making a lot of noise in the background. I can hear him snoring.
I did hear it. I have another disclaimer this week, besties. We will be talking about the winner of this episode. So if you haven't seen the second episode, put us in your queue and come back after you've watched. So the judges this week are Mina Starziak-Hawk from Good Bones and Jasmine from Hidden Potential and Help, I Wrecked My House. Both have competed on Rock the Block, and Jasmine won the very first season. She recently moved to Utah. What do you think about the judges this week, Rhonda?
So I'm surprised they had 2. It feels like those are 2 A-listers.
True.
You could easily just have one and it would have worked really well. I did read a really nice article by Jasmine where she talked about how excited she was to have Rock the Block in Utah, in her city, so to speak. And she really did. I think her baby, she was only like 5 weeks old, but she made it a point that she would make herself available. I was impressed with both of them. I think they're, certainly the most qualified. I didn't know the guy last week. You did. They understand, obviously, that process and what it's like to actually put in all that work. And so anyway, the blind judging, a little different for them because they didn't have blind judging in their show. And Mina made the little snarky remark that she thinks she might have won if she had blind judging. So God bless her. God bless her. I'm not sure that's true. She had some tough competition, but anyway.
So let's talk about Chelsea and Cole and their spaces.
The cowboy
Contemporary, and they spent $40K. So I will tell you, spoiler alert, that's the largest amount that was spent this week.
Okay.
I liked that all of their doors were frosted. I also liked that they moved the doorway so that instead of being in the little hallway that leads to the primary space, they actually put it so it's in the hallway across from the kitchen.
Yes.
And everybody did that except Jonathan and Jordan.
Yeah.
I think that was a good idea. The added door into the den area and adding a shower was brilliant. Talk about value add and having the perfect judges to appreciate value add.
Well, aren't you a little surprised that Alison was like, oh, I can't believe I didn't think of that. Like, really? I think if you've watched a previous episode of Rock the Blocks, somebody always puts another bedroom on the main floor, right?
True. Maybe that team was so focused on the design part of it I don't know. But yeah, so yeah, they made it into basically an ensuite.
I thought it was smart. If you think about grandparents
Yeah.
coming to visit, these are family homes, as we've said many, many times, and everyone, likes the grandparents to come and visit. So
They won't have to do stairs.
they won't have to do stairs, and they have their own bathroom. They don't have to use the other bathrooms. So
I like
smart.
it. And
Yeah.
the wallpaper that they featured with the elk is actually, I looked this up, it's actually from Chelsea's line with Wall Blush.
And what did you think of this wallpaper, Sherry?
So the bighorn sheep is the state animal for the state of Nevada, but I would in no way ever have a bighorn sheep in any kind of wallpaper or anywhere. Anywhere in my house. But also my house isn't designed as cowboy contemporary. So maybe
Correct.
I do think it feels almost a little themey, almost like this is a house not for a family as much as it's for an Airbnb.
Yeah, it was very masculine, right?
It is.
Yeah.
And but when Cole said
Yeah.
it would be random if they had pelicans on their wall in Utah, I immediately thought of you. I know pelicans and flamingos are not the same thing, but I just thought, oh, Rhonda can relate.
Yeah.
Even
I don't think there's a
Cole doesn't
requirement.
think he doesn't think the flamingo should be on your bathroom wall. So
I
maybe
don't think it's
you
a
should-
requirement that animal lives in your state that you could put it on the wall.
I'm thinking now maybe you should be looking for great horned sheep wallpaper.
Yes, that's a great idea. Or
right?
maybe ichthyosaur. That's the state fossil in Nevada. That would be pretty.
I don't even know what that is.
Well, it's a giant fish. Let's just say that.
Usually I'm not a fan of stripes, but I did think that the tile that they did in the shower,
Yeah,
it turned
me
out
too.
beautifully. And I'm a lover of green, so I loved that look.
Now, I have read reviews on those artisanal tiles. Is that how you say that?
Uh-huh.
And they've said that those are terrible for a shower, that you get a lot of mold and soap buildup because of the unevenness.
I don't know if this is true, but I'm assuming there's a type of grout you can use that is waterproof. I could just be talking out my butt here because I'm not actually sure if that's true or not.
Yeah, like I said, I just read something about that, and I don't know if that's true or not. This is a shower that's probably going to get used a couple times a year, so maybe that's not an issue for that shower, right? It's not your main shower, it's not the kids' shower, it's a guest shower, so
Yeah.
maybe that's not an issue for them. But yes, I loved it too. I thought it was pretty.
And I loved the look and feel of their cozy den area.
Mm-hmm.
But I also thought it's a great hangout place, but I'm not sure it would be good for an actual guest because...
Why?
Well, can Grandma and Grandpa, sleep on that little bed in front of that window?
It felt like a twin bed, yeah. It felt like a twin.
So I just didn't know if that's the best, but not everyone needs. Maybe one of the other bedrooms could be a guest room for them. I really loved the vibe of it. Kids
Yes.
would probably love to hang out in there. And then they frosted the doors, so if kids hang out in there, not everyone's going to see the mess they make. You don't have to clean it up immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Jonathan and Jordan, their modern farmhouse. I'm already laughing thinking about this one.
Oh my God.
They spent $35K. What did you think?
So I will give them snaps for their laundry room. I think the dog washing station is smart. As someone who has 4 dogs and her own dog washing station out in her garage, I would like that. I don't like that it's on the floor, that you have to get down on your hands and knees to wash your dog, or bend over, right? That's tedious. But bigger dogs, I guess that's all you can do. But anyway, I did think it was funny. They grabbed this poor Cocker Spaniel and throw him in there. Let's try it out.
And also, do you think they just threw dirt on Roxy so they could clean her in the dog wash? I mean, that dog was so dirty. My dog can run out in the dirt and there's not dust just flying off them. And that dog looked terrified. She's probably in counseling now.
Well, think about it. 2 strangers grab you and throw you, throw you in the shower.
Yeah.
Like Silkwood. Jeez. Start scrubbing you. Anyway.
That's funny. Now, would you take a dog wash but sacrifice all the storage in your laundry room? I mean, your mudroom?
Given that I've seen the floor plan of the bottom floor of this house, there's plenty of storage downstairs. So I think keeping your laundry room, and I'm willing to bet as a prequel for next week's main living suites, or what are they calling those? The primary suites. Mm-hmm. Someone's going to put a washer and dryer in the closet, right? That's typical.
I do appreciate that the boys listened to what Bobby Berg said and are incorporating that in their designs this week. They added central vacuum. They're the only ones who did that.
Have you ever had that? Did you have that in your other house?
No.
My girlfriend Barbara had that, and she said her kids kept shoving things in it, like vacuuming up things to clog it as an experiment, right?
What's going to happen with that pivot door?
Yeah, what's going to happen when this little Matchbox car goes down the chute? But on the other hand, it is nice to have it and just be able to plug it in any room and immediately vacuum. I've never gotten anyone to say it's a must, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to, I've never gotten anyone also to say it was worthless. So I don't know.
I'll repeat what you've said before. They are definitely missing Christina.
Oh,
isn't there a phone a friend? Like a little option?
Can't they call her? Yeah.
Because she might have suggested, hey, let's put some art on the wall in the entryway.
Or maybe a nice wallpaper.
Hey, let's not use a swan
What the heck?
How did they look at that and think,
yes, that's what we're doing. We must have it. We must have it.
Yes. With our modern farmhouse look.
Which just tells me they don't, again, I hinted this last week with the kitchen. I feel like they don't really understand what modern farmhouse is. And they're sort of doing this, throw something up and then go, oh, how can we make it look farmhousey? I do agree. I am a follower of the every room should have a little whimsy. I feel to personalize it, right? To not make it look so much like magazine. So again, it only has to be one or two pieces, but I don't
Would this have been your whimsy in that room?
Absolutely not. Like this belongs in a New York mansion from the turn of the century and a previous century, not this recent one.
It just felt disjointed and a little like it
So
didn't feel
disjointed.
designed. Okay,
Yeah.
Anything else about Jonathan and Jordan?
No, it had the desks against the wall, and you and I have talked before about that.
So Alison and Michel, they're refined rustic. They spent $33K.
And did you notice the first thing that Jasmine and Mina said was, I don't see rustic anywhere here?
I know, and I felt vindicated because I was struggling to find the rustic in the kitchen and living room areas.
Why did you even bring this word up? Why did you even add this word?
But I also agree when they said the sink definitely is rustic.
Yes.
So maybe we're going to see little spots of it elsewhere in the design. I loved the interaction with Michel.
Best quote.
Yeah.
You always want me to get excited about something old. So perfect. Yes.
It is.
That's how I feel about antiques as well. Like, what? Because it's old? I don't get why you're excited about this.
So then in the entryway, they created like a little anteroom, a real space to the entryway.
Yes.
And is that a yay or a nay?
Well, it is with my husband, I have to tell you. He does not like a house that you walk right into.
Yeah.
He has an idea that you would have somebody standing there, and if they could see your whole house, it would be a problem. But Jasmine or Mina, I can't remember which, said something about your guests are coming through here, right? Like this is as Alison likes to say, this is a moment.
Yeah.
When you walk in, you see that lovely arch and how she made that room just so much prettier.
I have a hard time getting over the fake olive tree. I didn't fall in love with it. I kind of fall in love with the idea of it, but in execution, it feels a little like I stepped into an elevator and I feel a little claustrophobic.
It felt a little office-y to me, a little businessy.
Yeah. And then again, with the fake olive tree, I just could not.
Well, that's an easy fix.
It is an easy fix, but I have a hard time just visually getting around it. And you and I talked about it, and she did a lot of fake big plants in her house. Yeah. So it works for her, and I can appreciate that. What did you think about the pivot door? I loved it. I loved the way it looked.
I'm torn on that. For some reason, it appeals to me. I don't know, the child in me or the Agatha Christie fan.
Yeah.
Of always having something hidden. But I'm not sure to what purpose, to what avail. Like, why are we hiding this? It feels forced, I guess, to me.
It also makes that little anteroom when you walk in darker.
That's a good point. The light from those windows.
There's no light coming in.
Yeah. The way the house is facing, I'm not sure. But there seems to be this, let's hide the pantry or let's hide this, the secret door kind of thing is
Yeah.
really popular right now. I did agree with Jasmine when she said her kids would abuse the hell out of that door, right? And that's
Yeah.
exactly what I was imagining.
Yeah.
She is going to hear screaming of pinched fingers,
Yeah.
of kids getting their fingers pinched and using that door like a toy. Maybe there's a way to lock it down that it doesn't open and close.
I agreed with the judges on the wallpaper and just how perfectly that wallpaper just went with their whole design.
Loved it.
And had
Loved
the
it.
curves. I loved it. And it wasn't too much of it. That room, when you walk in, is absolutely perfect. Like it looks absolutely beautiful. It has zero functionality for me. As a home office, where did the cords go, Rhonda?
Yes, it's not a functional office, and I can relate to this because I fell for the same design idea that I wanted my desk in the middle of the room.
It looks beautiful.
Because that's the way the model had it. But yes, if you walk by my French doors that come into my office, you are looking at the back of my screen and all the cords that hang down from my screen and my computer. So there is something to every time I see it now, I say, ha, yes, that looks good now, but there's not a computer on it, right?
I see a lot of people on these reality shows who just use a laptop.
Yeah. True.
So they can just put it away. But I'm not one of those people.
No.
I want a real keyboard. I have dual monitors. I don't want them in the way. I have a whole desktop unit. And because I do a lot of work with graphics and I love to play online games, I have a gaming desktop. So it's not just any desktop. And I can't make that beautiful. There's no way I could do a desk in the middle of my office.
Well, you're certainly not going to design a kitchen on your laptop, right?
No, I don't think so. But I see a lot of these designers using tools like iPads and laptops. So it's probably possible.
I wouldn't want somebody to design my kitchen on a laptop screen. I would prefer you design it on your giant monitors.
I do
So we make sure that's a 3 and not an 8, that kind of thing.
And even for the podcast, I love being able to have my notes sitting on one monitor and everything to do with the recording on another monitor. And you and I have even talked about the functionality I have because I do all the editing too with 2 monitors is just fabulous. But I
would definitely love to have 2 monitors, but there's no way I can support it. But there's a lot of the redesigns I see on Flip or Flop and the other shows where they don't have an outlet. And I'm thinking, what are you going to do? Drag the cord across the floor? It's not practical. I had to cut a hole in the carpet.
Oh.
Now I use the floor, the panels.
The carpet tiles.
So, but it still lands where like 3 carpet tiles intersect. So yeah, I had to cut up a carpet to make it so I could use the plug in the floor.
Yeah, I did consider that I'm just a dinosaur, and that's why it doesn't work for me.
Maybe the kids today have a lot easier time with it.
The last thing I think I have about Alison and Michel, and it applies to everyone who moved the door. You know how when they go into those older homes, like on Flip or Flop or other shows, and they're questioning, why is the laundry room right off the kitchen?
Yes.
Now we know, although technically it's off the hallway right next to the kitchen for Alison and Michel, for Chelsea and Cole. Tristyn and Kamohai moved their kitchen. So
yes, I thought the same thing. And I thought the same thing about Jasmine's first comment was, I don't want to listen to my washing machine going all day.
Yeah, because
of course,
Alison and Michel didn't put a door on theirs.
Jasmine has two kids, right? I'm sure that, with a baby, her washer and dryer are going all day.
I do think that you're right, that we're going to see washers and dryers appear in other places in these homes.
Yeah, why not? Right? Why not?
Wouldn't you definitely put one on the floor that has your kids' rooms?
1,000%, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. What a luxury, right? Again, I just I don't know why, because I don't particularly enjoy laundry, but for some reason that just feels like such a luxury.
It does. So Tristyn and Kamohai, Moody Modern, they spent $30K. I think that was the lowest budget spent this week.
Yeah.
And their rooms are beautiful. So Tristyn says when they decide to move the powder room, which I think was a big mistake. But when Tristyn says you walk in the front door and see a toilet, that isn't exactly true. You walk in the front door and from that hallway, you see a door for a room that has a toilet in it.
Exactly.
And out of all of the sort of vantage points when you walk in the front door, I love how they staged it. I love that view and the herringbone ceiling.
Oh, beautiful.
just
Beautiful.
draws your eye. So I've seen photos of those entryways as if you've just walked in the front door. And I will tell you, it takes your breath away. It is so well done.
Yep.
Also, Tristyn and Kamohai used real plants in their design.
They did.
And I feel like the scale of that entryway, it really connected with everything else they'd put in that house.
Yeah. My issue was if you're going to let people sleep in your den, right? Which is what they had with their pull down. Look at how far they're going to have to walk to go to the bathroom, right? They're going to have to walk through the house, and they don't have a shower on that floor. So,
you're right. It's a really long way.
Yeah, they're going to go downstairs or upstairs to use another bathroom to take a shower in your robe, with your hair up in a towel.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just love the idea of a guest room being a suite and having everything contained. So myself, I don't have to leave that room looking a mess or less than perfect. But again, what's the moody part, Sherry?
They used a lot of dark colors. They color drenched that room.
They did.
The den.
Did it feel moody to you though? I did not feel moody.
I feel like it's a balance between modern and moody. I feel like it gets there. It's not moody maximalist.
I guess
So
you're
it's
right.
really a more modern, clean design.
Yeah, I think of Alison and Michel's powder room as a moody room, right?
So
That's
moody,
dark,
yes.
and that whole thing. But I did love that special wallpaper, her nod to Hawaii.
Yes.
I want to replace my flamingo with some beautiful Hawaiian wallpaper. Yes. Now, again, that doesn't go with my house. This is me just reacting to something I think is beautiful.
Yeah.
I must have it. I just thought it was lovely.
It worked really well in their spaces. And
too,
Kamohai had promised that he was going to bring a little of Hawaii in. So I loved when I saw that.
Good for you. Good for you. Because yes, that I thought was really nice.
They were the only ones to put a sink in the mudroom.
Now, do you have a sink in your laundry room?
I don't. I have had a laundry room with a sink in it, and I never used it.
I was just going to say, if you had a sink, would you use it? Because this is the second house now that we've had that, because you somehow think you need it. Like, oh, yes, I must have a sink in this room. Never used it. We ended up putting the doggy door there, taking out the sink and putting the doggy door in instead. You put in a sink, and I just have the same response because I have a sink right outside the door to the garage. That's my doggy wash station right there. Mm-hmm. And if I have paint or something that it's messy, messy, I just rinse it off there. I guess a lot of people who hand wash their delicates, maybe.
Like, I'm never going to do that.
I abuse mine, yes. Maybe the first wash, I'll hand wash it. But from then on, my give a crap meter goes to 0 and I throw it in with everything else.
Yeah. So let's talk about the judging. So Mina and Jasmine were the judges this week. And it's such a different feel from last week. So last week we had a designer doing the judging, and he judged based on design. And this week we had Mina and Jasmine, who not only design, but they're also very much into kind of the functional piece of it and living in the space and the value added. Mm-hmm. And I think that really helped the winners win.
Me too. It felt obvious to me. Anybody who adds a shower on the main floor. It just was so obvious that, again, when Alison said, "Oh, I wish I'd have thought of that," I just thought, "Are you faking this?" Because I really can't believe you didn't think of that initially, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And Jasmine felt like the wallpaper in Chelsea and Cole's The Elk was right on track. Like, she immediately recognized that was the state animal.
I don't think she hung it very well. You could actually see the seams on the television, which would drive you crazy. I know you'd rip it down as soon as you moved in. You'd rip it down as soon as you moved in.
Yeah, I wouldn't keep it for sure.
There's no way you would have elk wallpaper in your house. But I liked it because it was kind of a masculine vibe to that room. So I liked it. I will say I was pleasantly surprised to see how happy Chelsea and Cole were to win. Like, you could see the genuine joy on their face.
Do you think Tristyn and Kamohai were as excited as they appeared that Chelsea and Cole got the first rookie win?
Yes, mainly because they got
some money.
Again, they get $1,500 and it's a rookie, and I don't know. Anyway, whether it's genuine or not, I felt like the Chelsea and Cole response definitely was tickled, right? They were just tickled.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a relief, right? When we watched Mina every week not win.
Oh, that's right.
Or Minka and Brian every week not win.
Yeah.
It's tough, I'm sure, to just sit there and smile. Yay. Yay.
Well, for 2 weeks in a row, the team that spent the most won.
Let's keep an eye on that. See if that's the trend. I did notice in next week's preview that maybe there's a little drama with Michel and Victoria over.
Ooh,
I think he says something.
That.
He says something like, "We're $6,000 over budget," and I thought, "Oh God, it's Donovan. All over again. It's Donovan all over again. He's gonna be screaming at her."
I can't imagine Michel screaming, but that is funny.
Me either, but I think he has a breaking point, and that may be it. I don't know. I hope it's true. There didn't seem to be any manufactured drama this week, and maybe I can't have my cake and eat it too. Maybe I can't have a fun, riotous, spicy, episode if there's not going to be any drama. It just felt this week was a little bit of just, okay, well, let's do these rooms. Okay, they're done. What do you guys think? It didn't feel at all exciting or vibrant like I wanted to be. So
yeah, just so we're clear, Chelsea and Cole won the competition this week, and they took home the first rookie win. Well, next week it's the main suite, and it'll be interesting to see what they do in that area. Those are the final areas on the first floor.
Yeah,
I love to see how they do the primary suites. I'm excited about next week's episode.
I saw some of the preview and thought, ooh, I'm not that crazy about it. So
really?
I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. There's some red. There's some red in there, Sherry, and I know.
What?
It makes you angry like a bull.
Thank you for dishing with us about episode 2 of Rock the Block. The rookies finally snagged their first win, and I was so thrilled for Chelsea and Cole. They totally earned it. This week, there was no design challenge to distract them, so it was all about transforming the entryway, den, powder room, and mudroom. And let me tell you, they poured everything into making those spaces shine. Of course, we've got some hot takes, nitpicks, and more than a few strong opinions about those design choices. Okay.
I'm going to give Jonathan and Jordan a Menti B, as the kids like to say, for the mental breakdown of purchasing and installing that swan faucet. This is another example of where they need their designer, Christina, to help keep them on track and remind them what modern farmhouse design is.
Yeah, please, HGTV, give them a phone a friend.
Yes, let them call her and show the room or run their design ideas by her. She would probably remind them modern farmhouse includes simplicity, rustic charm. The swan faucet is some kind of elegant, glam, estate luxury look, and really, really could not be farther away from modern farmhouse.
I totally agree. If you like our vibe and are obsessed with HGTV like we are, please like, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to our podcast. You can also let us know on Facebook, Instagram, and at designingbitches.com what HGTV shows you're watching and what you think. We would love to hear from you.
Also, we've done a special posting for this week's episode. We're kicking off an office design challenge.
Ooh.
We'll be posting photos of Sherry's office. Practicality first, as her desk faces a wall.
Functional fancy.
Yes, faces a wall. And then my office, more style than function, as the desk is in the middle of the floor. Please weigh in with your opinion. Which setup do you prefer? Sherry's no-nonsense approach or my focus on design flair with my desk in the middle of the room like a throne? Also, we'll be posting our bingo card for week 3, so let us know if you won. Give us your comments and they can earn you a spot as our Designing Bitches Bestie of the Week.
Ooh, so are you going to take the stickies that we use for our Designing Bestie Hall of Fame out of your office for the picture?
I am. There will be no stickies. It will look magazine ready, I promise.
Hey, as always, we have some apologies to make. I'm sorry to everyone who loves swan faucets, the color red, and fake olive trees. Well, until next time, bye.
Bye.